Hi everyone, my name is Ierie, and this is Reminisce with This, where I take a little time out of my day to sit and reminisce with you on simpler times from all of the different things that pique my interest. Things that honestly cultivate a lot of memories that intertwine with why I still continue to collect today. And honestly, I'm happy to share these moments as it's a reflection for myself to really dive back into memories and things that maybe I have forgot about and give them a better appreciation now as a 32-year-old adult. As I crack into something new today, which is going to be Power Princess for Shiny New Thing Saturday, this isn't necessarily going to be a review per se, as this figure has already been out for some time. This is more so just why I decided to get this figure and why I'm excited to add it to my collection. As, like I stated, there are quite a few reviews already out there regarding this particular figure. I think it's pretty an awesome figure for what it is, and for not really knowing a whole lot about the character primarily other than just one specific comic run, I haven't dived into this character or the team that they're a part of outside of this one comic run. And that one specific comic is one of my favorite comic runs is Marvel Zombies, and this is in one of those side comics that came out during that time. And of course the Squadron Supreme was a part of that. And that's all I honestly know about this particular character. But I think she's pretty awesome. It kind of gives me the semblance of like Xena Warrior Princess and of sorts. I really do like the figure. I've been kind of, playing around with this figure since I opened it. Not too much. It does come with a couple accessories, as I'm sure a lot of people are already aware, considering this figure is about a year or two old now. And I just recently got it. Thankfully not on the secondary market, but actually I got it at retail cost as it was re-released. And that's kind of why I waited so long to get this figure, and I'm glad that I did, because the secondary market prices are honestly ridiculous and the scalping is ridiculous. But I'm just happy that I have this figure in my collection. Now, am I going to get the entirety of the team? I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure if I want to do so. I know at one point in time that I do want to get a bunch of figures for a Marvel Zombies display of sorts. I do have a couple of the Marvel Zombies Selects figures, and of course I do have a couple of the What If Marvel Zombies figures, but I think it would be kind of fun to create something along that in some sort of display. But at the same time, I don't want to alter my figures where they end up with, paint or things like that will stain them or anything like that, because I'm by no means any kind of person that is quite good at some kind of customization. I kit bash here and there some things that are already created and cultivated, but for what it is, I have no artistic styling on how to do any of that, like, honestly. So that is what it is. But she does come with a couple of pieces of accessories. She comes with her sword, she comes with her shield, which honestly it just snaps onto her like, I want to say it's a gauntlet or like cufflink, or the cuff here. She comes with a couple hands. She comes with two hands to be able to hold the sword, which just swivels like side to side. She comes with an open hand and a fisted hand. She does come with the accessories or the build-a-figure pieces, which I also will not be building the figure, as I basically have already gotten all of the characters that I wanted from this wave, and she was the last one that I really wanted. I just got to figure out where I'm going to put her, honestly, in my display. But honestly, I really do like the face sculpt here. It does look pretty awesome for what it is. Like I said, I don't really know a whole lot about the character, but I think for the what it is. Like, I think she came out really awesome. I think the women figures that have come out over the years have actually been so much better in the last 5 years per se, as when I first really got into collecting a bunch of the women figures, starting with like my Emma Frost figure, the very first one that I got, and that one was pretty freaking rough, if you want me to be honest. And then, of course, a few other figures that have come out during that duration was some that, but I'm happy that these figures are progressing in so many ways, that the women figures are now starting to get, those double jointed elbows and a little bit more of the dynamic posing, like posability for displays and stuff like that, where we're not having to necessarily contort them to have them in some kind of awesome poses. And for what it is, like, the only thing that would be consider the downside now would be the hair. A lot of the times, like, I get that the hair is one of the, you want to be able to have these characters have the hair that they have in the comics, but at the same time, if they could make it a more pliable plastic, so we're not kind of losing a lot of the posability in the neck, that would be pretty awesome. But for what it is, like, I'm still happy nonetheless that we have these figures. I am primarily a female figure collector, and that's primarily just because of what these characters kind of have resemblance for. And I've stated it in a past video, which is for the women in my life. A lot of the women that I grew up with and raised me, I saw them as strong women in such high regard that's why I always looked to them, or looked to these superheroes and comics and things like that, and always correlated them or their characteristics or whatever may it be to someone in my life. And that's why I have such a fond admiration for a lot of the women superheroes or characters in comics, and that's why I primarily collect just these types of figures. Now, don't get me wrong, like, I have a lot of male figures. It's not just a female only collection, but they are the ones that I tend to pick up before I pick up a lot of the other characters. And honestly, I'm happy with it. My collection is a reminder of all of the strong women in my life, and why I continue to collect these things is to have that simple reminder of never to forget about how hard and how amazing my family has been, or the women that have played a part in raising me, and all of the things that they've done to get to where they're at today, and all the self-sacrifices that they have done to make sure that we were good. And that's kind of where I see a lot of these characters, and that's honestly just a really good reminder for myself, and not to forget about those small moments, because sometimes I can be kind of, at least more so, like, prior to my recovery journey, I forgot a lot about the self-sacrifices a lot of the women did in my life, and I took that for granted. And a lot of those women aren't necessarily in my life anymore. May have they been passed on, and or just not necessarily as close as I used to be with them. But at the same time, since getting in recovery, I've been able to reflect and build bonds with people that I wouldn't have 7 years ago, 10 years ago, or even 4 years ago. It all kind of just happened the way it was supposed to, and these figures are a constant reminder for the women in my life. And I'm happy to have this collection. I'm happy to have this figure. Now, for what it is, the posability is pretty awesome. Like I stated, this is not necessarily a review, but more so just an addition to the collection I already have. And if you're looking for reviews, I'm sure you could find a review that's pretty solid on this particular figure. Now, again, mine is not necessarily a review, and it's not always going to be Marvel Legends that are on this particular channel for Shiny New Thing Saturday. I've just had more Marvel Legends stockpiled up in the interim over the last few months and so forth. And, but I will be opening other figures and other things that I have in store. I do have a G.I. Joe figure. I do have a Samus figure. I do have some Pokemon figures to be opening as well. And again, this is not necessarily a review channel for per se. Now, there might be some reviews out there for some figures that I do get, and I do show the review on that particular figure. But for what it is, I want to make sure that this particular channel and day is just to showcase something new that I've opened. And not all the time am I buying things like right then and there. Sometimes I've been sitting on a lot of these figures that I have for years or months, and I'm excited to finally open them and start to build them or, get them into collections, as I do take my time with a lot of the figures that I have before I open them. Now, some of them not so much, but I'm happy to share these moments with you guys. And I know not everybody has the opportunity to get new toys and new things here and there. And, I feel for people, and I'm very lucky that I have some amazing people in my life that have made this a possibility as well, because I have some really amazing people that send me figures and send me toys and things like that, just to play a part in the channel. And I'm so grateful and I'm so blessed, and I know that not everybody has that opportunity, and I don't want this to ever come out or come across that like I'm ungrateful or I'm boasting or anything of that nature, because that's not what it is for me. It's more so of just talking about a pleasure of mine and what brings me happiness. And not all the time am I always particularly opening new things that bring me happiness, but being able to dive into the collections that I've cultivated and obtained over the 32 years of my life, as I've been collecting since I was a small child, and I still have a lot of, my stuffed animals and things like that from when I was a baby and so on. So it's, it's been a lot of years that have gone into my collections, and I just don't want this to ever come off as ungrateful, or that, like I said, I'm boasting, or trying to make anybody feel bad that they don't have the newest thing. You don't always have to have the newest thing to be happy with what your collection has. Even if you only have a couple figures or a couple things of that collection, as long as you enjoy them and they bring you happiness, that's the only thing that really matters, at least from my perspective. And I guess that's kind of could be off base from someone that has the collection that I do. But again, if it wasn't for so many of the wonderful people in my life, I wouldn't have the collection that I have today. A lot of the figures that I have been bought from my grandparents, my family members, my friends, and I'm really blessed and I'm grateful, because there have been so many times that I have stated it. I was once, in a place of homelessness, and I had all of my things in storage, and I lived out of suitcases, and I'm grateful that I didn't lose my collections, and I'm just blessed that I'm able to still cultivate the collections that bring me joy. I may not buy something new all the time, figure-wise, but when I do, it just means a little bit more to me, simply for the fact of all of the people that have played a part in my collection, where I'm able to add these figures to the displays, or superhero teams or teams in general. And when I add these figures to those displays, a lot of the time the figures that I'm adding them to, the figures that I already have, I'm reminded of all the people that have made those purchases for me. and my grandma being, and my great grandma being some of those big components there, that would buy me figures and things like that. So every time I'm adding something new to a display, I'm honestly reflecting on how grateful I am that I had some amazing people in my life. And I don't ever want this to come across where it could be out of touch, and I hope it comes across that way. Um, Other than that, though, that's basically all I've got to say for today. Yeah, I think this figure is pretty awesome. And I'm excited to figure out where I'm going to place this figure for my display. But as I'm sure, as I tinker around with it and whatnot and look a little bit deeper into her character, arc and see what kinds of teams she's in, if I end up needing to put her in solely a Squadron Supreme, I might be inclined over the next year or so to add some of those figures to the display, as I know they're quite cheap on the secondary market. But again, I'm in no rush to complete the team. So with that being said, thank you for reminiscing with me. Thank you for hanging out with me today. And as per usual, if you have not been told you are loved, cherished, and or cared about today, just know I love you, I cherish you, and I care about you. I really, really hope you have a wonderful night, and I hope you have literally just the best time that you possibly can with what you have. And yeah, I really appreciate you stopping in today. With that being said, I will catch you tomorrow. Peace.